Hello, welcome to the Menopausal View. So I'm still trying to figure out the whole going live on YouTube, so please bear with me. I am getting ready to head out to Jocelyn's house for one of our recording sessions. So I wanted to talk to you while I get ready. So I didn't realize how late I'm running, which tends to be a theme for me and for Jocelyn both, I guess. We're both kind of cool that way. We just kind of like to, be loose and free with how we spend our time. You know, we're just the cool kids like that. So while I'm gonna shoot on here, I'm going to kind of do my hair really quick, and then I am going to do my makeup. But I wanted to talk, now I'm just sectioning part of my hair out in the front. I'm just going to put it in a knot on the top. This is another one of my quick and easy hairstyles when I'm running late, because I'm always running late. And I have cut off a considerable amount of my hair, so I have to be, I have to use hairstyles that's going to work with my incredibly short hairstyle now. So I'm going to use this round spongy thing, and I'm going to try and make sure that it covers all the way around. I'm just going to twist it down, kind of trying to make sure it gets all the way around the sponge. So we've added about, 500 pounds of hair to my head because I have no hair. Because, menopause. So anyway, what I wanted to talk to you about is overcoming depression. And I am not a doctor, and I cannot diagnose, and I cannot prescribe, but I do have, I have a lot of, how should I say this? I have a lot of experience with depression and what it takes to stick around, to see what happens. I don't know if you've been paying attention, but there's been kind of a rash of suicides recently. Famous people, just local people here in the area. So it's kind of, it tends to come around every year about this time, and I don't want to say that it's seasonal because yes, you can lose your vitamin D in December, January, and February because of all the snow and stuff, and it's hard to keep your energy up as a result of that. But the thing is that a lot of people are having trouble transitioning with the seasons as well, especially since we're coming up on spring, and we should be getting warmer weather. And if you're in the Midwest like I am, it's 30 degrees one day and 70 the next, or 30 degrees in the morning and 70 in the afternoon. So it's kind of an oxymoron when it comes to, um, getting the consistency out of the weather that you need to be outside and stay healthy. With that, um, it has so much more to do with, um, it's not just vitamin D, it's everything else that can possibly be going on around this time frame. I don't know if you remember, um, I'm sure you do, Robin Williams. Robin Williams is one of my favorite human beings on this planet. And I don't want to speak out of turn, but I do believe that he was bipolar. And being on any level or spectrum of depression, it makes it makes living out loud difficult. And when you have a big personality like Robin Williams, like I do, like Jocelyn does, it can be hard to keep that energy up all the time. And especially I found that when you're a happy, jokey person, everyone expects you to always be happy, joking, and fun. And people just don't understand that the people who are happy, jokey, and the most fun to be around tend to be the ones who need the most help, because they're the last ones that are going to ask for help. They're the last ones that are going to say, hey, I'm broken, I'm sad, I'm depressed. So if you have friends like that, and we're going to talk about how to help your friends who are possibly dealing with depression. And I'm just giving you one example as to, my own personal situation. Um, you know, just anyway, there's several things that if you are in this position, in this depression state, that you can do to help yourself until you can get help. Or if you're just kind of like in that middle place where I'm like, oh, I'm not feeling it. I'm really run down. I'm really depressed. I'm kind of tired. I'm really tired, and you're trying to combat those feelings. I want to go over a couple of things that may or may not assist you. These are the things that I look at for myself when I'm feeling those things to rejuvenate myself. Okay. The first one is I avoid negative people. Now, don't get me wrong. I love people. I do. I genuinely love them. But sometimes you have to remove yourself from negative. And I don't mean people who are broken, who need to talk, unless that's all they can focus on. And sometimes when they're in a place like that, that is all they can focus on. So if you are that person that's listening to that person, here's the thing. They don't necessarily need your answers. They don't necessarily need your resolutions. All they need is someone to hear them and say, wow, I can't, imagine what you're going through, or I can empathize what you're going through. Just listen. Make jokes. If it's appropriate, make them laugh. Tell them funny stories. But if you are in that situation, you want to avoid the more negative people, the people who are going to be hard on you, judgmental. I know that a lot of people think that they are telling you their honest truth in order to assist you. And a lot of times I believe that that is true and that is the case. But in a lot of times it can also be what pushes you over the edge when you don't need to be. So make sure that you are giving your energy to the right people. Okay? Most people who are in the depressive places are generally the people who are nurturers, who tend to take care of other people. So sometimes just paying it forward and being there for someone else who's in a crisis situation can change your outlook of where you are. I mean, no matter how bad your situation is, there's almost always somebody who's in a worse place than you are. I'm not saying to degrade your situation. It's just that's how it is. So perspective on that grounds would help, as well as just trying to help someone else out of their situation. It removes yourself from your crisis of negativity. Now, I'm not saying that this is, if you're in mourning from the loss of a loved one, and to me that would include pets, friends, family, this is a whole different ball game. This is not for crisis situations. This is more for, I got to get out of my funk. I've got to. So by paying it forward to help someone else who is in maybe more of a crisis situation than you are, or who just needs someone to talk to, I try to make regular appointments with my friends just to connect with them, spend some time with them, you know, whatever I can do, because it not only helps build relationships, but it also helps, you know, it helps me by coming outside of myself and being part of someone else's story. And sometimes I can help them. And when I can, it always makes me very happy. Sometimes I assume I'm helping them, and then I wonder if I did or not. But the point is that it comes from a place of love that I try to help people. So that's important. The biggest thing that a lot of people, when you get into that depressed phase, forget is failure is inevitable. And I can say that until I'm purple in the face and you're purple in the face. And if you're not ready to acknowledge that, you're just not ready to acknowledge that. But everybody fails. In fact, it's better to fail because then you know how not to do something. You learn from it, you move on. And if you're not moving on, if you're not learning from it, you're going to be stuck with the same situation over and over and over again. It's kind of the way the universe works. If you don't get the lesson the first time, you keep taking the test until you get it. I'm just saying. So learn how to accommodate your failures. Learn from your failures. Be one with your failures. There was a Buddhist once who said, I do not pray for an easy life. I pray for one where I can, you know, in which I can learn from my failures. And I'm not quoting it specifically or exactly. I know that, and I apologize for that. It was just something that popped into my head. So remember that failure is okay. It's okay to rebuild. And usually when you do, you come back stronger than you were to begin with. And that is the most important thing to realize. I struggle with stress and sometimes depression with some of the medications they put me on, and with my health. It's a natural thing, and I really have to take a step back sometimes and remember that every time I get pushed down, every time that something is not going the way it's supposed to, that I'm an overcomer and I'm going to come back stronger than I did before. I may be down right now, but I'm not going to stay here. I won't. I refuse, because I'm better than that. And you're better than that. And we can do this. Another thing that I recommend is journaling. Journaling what's going on in your brain, journaling what's going on in your world. I admit that I am very inconsistent when it comes to journaling. I have about 500 notebooks that I've started where I would start a journal, and then I would start another one, and then I'd start another one, and then I'd just start another one. So I'm not really good at staying consistent with the same journal. But the point is that I do write down things, okay? And I don't just look at it from, I try to look, when I write things, it's not just, follow me on this. When I start my journal entries, it's usually very emotional because I'm just trying to get all the emotion out onto the page so that I could acknowledge that this is what's going on in my world, and this is how it's affecting me, and this is why, you know, I need to vent. But once I do that, it gives me the opportunity to come back and look at it from a very much more logical standpoint, a place of non-objectivity. It removed myself from the situation. And if this was my friend who was coming to me with this problem, what would I tell that person to do in an objective way to, to move forward, to find resolution? Sometimes I can work that through. I can work out issues by doing it that way. Sometimes I can't. It depends on the situation and how big it is for me. But the point is I write it. And then sometimes I can go back into that journal and I can be like, oh, wow, I remember when I was going through that, and this is how I came out of that. And I can apply that here today in this situation. So remembering to journal what's going on, first with the emotion and then objectivity. A very non-emotional point of view, looking at it from okay, this is how this went down, remove the emotion from it, put it into words as to if you were writing a report, make it simple, very matter of fact, no emotion, just, statements of fact. And see if that doesn't give you a new way of looking at it. Sometimes when you remove the emotion, it can help you see a new direction and resolution. Sometimes it takes a couple times, but sometimes it can really be worth it right off the bat, just to kind of get your brain out of that place. So there's also my absolute favorite thing to do before I do, don't laugh at me, you guys, but it's true. This is true what I do. I'm a Wonder Woman freak, a superhero freak. And anyone who knows me knows that I have no qualms with dressing up as Wonder Woman on a regular basis. Every chance I could possibly get to dress up as Wonder Woman, you can bet that I'm going to be dressed up as said Wonder Woman. I'm trying to find my alrighty, not winning today. So anyway, Wonder Woman and Superman both have what is called the power pose. And y'all know the power pose. You know what Wonder Woman looks like when she's standing there. You know what Superman looks like when he's just standing there. They got their legs apart, hands on their hips, heads up, shoulders back. That is a power pose. It is one of the most power poses you can make. And even though it feels kind of weird to do it, I promise you, it is, even if you feel weird about doing it, it's at least going to make you laugh because you're doing it. So keep that in mind. And then that will change your perspective. And that's also good to do whenever you're doing public presentations, or you have to do something that makes you incredibly uncomfortable or fearful. Doing the power pose is a very, very effective, cool thing to do in both of those situations. The next thing is, and I've talked about this several times on my videos, because it's probably the most important thing you can possibly do, and that is learning how to breathe. Now, I know you're going to be like, Jennifer, I know how to breathe. You breathe in, you breathe out. It's not it's an automatic thing that your body does, whether you think about it or not. But cognitive breathing, being aware of your breath, is vital, because it releases I'm trying to think of the word and it's not coming out of my brain. It's not oxycodone. It releases the endorphins in your brain that your brain needs to make you happy. Sorry about that, you guys. My brain is just like, it's called menopause brain, okay? I deal with it. I have it. I admit it. And I just got eyeliner in the wrong place. So you want to be aware of your breath, and it's very simple. All you do is breathe in slowly through your nose, out slowly through your mouth, and just keep doing that. Usually I do it to at least 10. And it will, no matter how bad you are, it will take you down at least a couple of notches. It really will, I promise. It is a psychological, it's something that a lot of therapists train you to do. So it is beneficial if you just try it. I know it sounds crazy, just being aware of your breath, but it can help. And I am struggling trying to find my my cover up, so I'm gonna just like use this stuff. Jocelyn's gonna be so mad at me for being so late today. One of the other things that I enjoy doing is I enjoy reading, and when I am in that place, I have to sometimes force myself to read. And the best thing to do is to read like a self-help book during that time frame. But sometimes just reading anything. And for me, it's comic books. I'm just gonna be honest with you. Comic books always change the game for me. You know, because you get that superhero mentality. You know, gotta save the world kind of thing. Kind of changes things sometimes. Now, I am running out of time, so I'm going to have to hurry this up. The next thing I would recommend is figure out what your priorities are. And this is a hard one, especially when you're in the thick of it. You need to figure out what's important. Make a list if you have to. I've lost my mascara, you guys. I swear I cannot keep mascara if you paid me at this point. Figure out what your priorities are. Make a list. Especially if your depression or whatever's holding you back right now is because you can't make a decision. Maybe you're overwhelmed. Maybe you've got too many irons in the fire. And maybe it's time to step back and figure out what you can let go of. Sometimes just letting go of something, just something, can be enough to help ease the burden, take something off of your shoulders, and make it easier to breathe. Breathing, again, is important. So once you have your priorities straight, so one of my things is that I tend to involve myself in as many projects as I can. I run women's networking groups. I'm involved in modeling, fashion shows, pageants. The show, I have more than one show. Running women's networking groups, being involved in support groups, as well as working and doing everything that I can for my boss and for, you know, helping my friends out with their businesses in any way I can. I even do some business coaching. So sometimes I love doing all these things, and I will commit myself and commit myself and commit myself. And then guess what? I'll commit myself again. And then I get overwhelmed. And then I get sick because I'm overwhelmed, because I've overcommitted myself and I never have time for me, for downtime. So when I get to that point, I really have to take a step back and say, okay, what gives me joy? Now, sometimes the job aspect of it is not one of those things that you can make optionary. It is what it is. However, it's easier to find a job while you have a job. But optionary, is that a word? If it's not a word, I'm going to make it optionary as a word. So prioritizing, what is it that, gives your heart happiness to do? If it's spending time with your family, make an effort to spend more time with your family. If your physical family is nowhere around, make family. Find your tribe. Find your tribe. I have so many different tribes and so many different arenas of life that, depending on what's going on in my life and what I need, I can access that tribe to get me to the next level, to get me where I'm going, to get what I want, or to just get me over the hump. Join support groups. Join anything that can get you noticed without making you feel uncomfortable. There are support groups that you can join that are physical, where you go out there and join them. There's also networking groups. I cannot tell you how much just being in networking has benefited me, just because it has taken me out of my comfort zone so dramatically that I've had to meet new people and build relationships with new people. And taking me out of that comfort zone and building relationships with people that I normally wouldn't build relationships with has been life-changing. I don't know, what do you guys think? Does this color work okay with this? It's not very, it's more of a pink. So go to your sources, go to your resources. Build relationships within communities, within networks. If you're in politics, join a political group. If you have school-age kids, get involved with school programs. And if you have problems with talking to people, social anxieties, get involved online instead of in person. There are always ways to get yourself out there and still feel comfortable with where you are and who you are. I think I'm almost ready, and Jocelyn is calling me, and I hope she's not calling me to reschedule, because I'm not ready for that. Anyway, so the most important thing is to remember that you are worth it. You are worthy of being here. You are worthy of being alive. Whether you believe it or not, if you were not here, someone is going to be devastated if you're gone. Someone will be. My husband, in 2010, committed suicide. And I watched his family, me, his friends, his ex-wife, his children. I watched so many people devastated over his loss. And he thought that he wasn't worth it. I am no one to judge as to whether or not he was worth it or not. Only he was the one who was worthy enough to judge that. And I have been on both sides of the spectrum. So if you are in that place, there is a national service, National Suicide Prevention Hotline. The number is 1-800-273-8255. Again, that number is 800-273-8255. Give them a call. Call your friends. Call your family. Call someone who will listen, someone who doesn't judge you, who just is there to love you. And if you don't have that person, seek help. Call the Suicide Prevention Hotline. It can change your life. Oh, and get some vitamin D. I'm not saying that vitamin D is a cure-all for everything, but vitamin D is, it helps with your emotions, especially during this time of the year. Vitamin D is lacking because we're not getting out there and getting our vitamin D from the sun. There's also supplements. I take ashwagandha and Schisandra root. They're also very good for elevating your mood and giving you a little bit of boost of energy. They're supplemental, so like I said, I'm not an herbalist, I'm not a doctor, I can't diagnose and I can't prescribe. That's just what I do for myself. So try those things, and if you are a friend who has a friend or a family member who's dealing with depression, acknowledge that this is their journey. Sometimes they have to go through this, and sometimes you can help them, sometimes you can't. Sometimes all they need is a shoulder, sometimes all they need is someone to listen. Even if it's for a couple of weeks, you might have to listen to them a couple of weeks, couple months even. You have to decide whether or not it's important enough for you to be there. And if you are one of those people that assume if you haven't heard from somebody in a while, they must be doing good, assume differently, because usually if you haven't heard from someone for a while, it's probably because they're going through something. So to get mad at them and hold it against them that they haven't contacted you, that would be the time for you to contact them, because they may be in peril. They may be in depression. They may be in a spiral that they can't get out of. And being cognizant of other people's emotions, even those people who hide it well. I know sometimes it's hard to tell. Sometimes it comes out differently. Sometimes you just don't get what's going on in their lives. It can come out as negative health. It can come out as anger. It can come out as so many different things. You just have to be cognizant. If you love and care for them, take some time, spend some time with them, take them to lunch. Sometimes just showing them that you care is all they need. Just to let them know they are not alone. There is someone else out there that has said, you mean something to me. You matter. You are important. So those are the most important things that I can tell you to help yourself with depression, and for friends to help their friends and family with depression. So I hope you take that with you and you use it to the best of your health. And remember that somebody out there loves you. And if you haven't taken the time, please share this video, make it in comments, what you suggest people do to help with depression, or what, if you're in depression, what you wish people would do for you while you're in that place, so that others can see some ideas of how to help their friends. So this is a twofold thing. You know, what you do to get out of your depression state, what you wish your friends knew to help you get out of that depression state. And if you're one of those people who have friends, what you're doing to help your friends that have depression. Because it's important to help each other. We have to have our tribes. Without our tribes, we cannot succeed as well as we can without our tribes. Our tribes make our lives better. So be part of our tribe. Be a part of your tribe. Bring people into your tribe. So please like, share our video, make comments below, subscribe to our page, and hit that little bell so that you can get our notifications when we go live. Okay, now I'm out of here. I got to get to Jocelyn's before she kicks